We're not here this morning. You heard him say it. Bobby Marks says the Warriors are going to miss the playoffs this year.
They won't be hosting a first-round playoff series, and it's not so very far off that one injury, one poor season from a big-time player in their rotation puts them fighting for eighth.
How good do you think the Warriors are? Are they a playoff team in the West?
Look, it's not an outrageous statement because when you really look at the Western Conference and you look at some of these other teams, obviously, particularly if Kawhi Leonard goes to the Clippers, right, or the Lakers, obviously, but even if he doesn't go to the Lakers, we assume they're going to make the playoffs with AD and LeBron?
Yes, the Lakers.
Okay, Golden State Warriors still going to be better than a Clippers team if they don't get Kawhi, than a San Antonio Spurs team. Those are the teams you're going to have to hold off to make it. And
they can still do to get better while they wait for Klay to come back.
But they can't do much. I mean, they're just going to beg guys to go there on minimum contracts. They have maybe a little teensy bit of the mid-level exception to try and get somebody back. Maybe that's all DeMarcus Cousins takes, but there ain't much they can do.
But didn't they sign D'Angelo Russell with at least some intention of trading him, trying to flip him for pieces? You're suggesting that's not happening until a year down the road?
Yeah, I don't know that that's an immediate thing. Right now, they need him to play. As long as Klay's hurt, they need him to play. And I think Jalen's point is a good one that people forget. We look at these rosters and we just see the names there, but like every team takes an injury at some point during the year, and they are 15-game Steph Curry ankle sprain from absolutely being at risk of missing the playoffs. I mean, Utah loading up, Portland loading up, Denver, Lakers, Clippers, Spurs, Rockets, Thunder. That's 9 teams right there. Who's missing the playoffs out of that group?
Warriors. D'Lo, obviously isn't that great defensively. He ranked last defensively for the Brooklyn Nets, okay? Yeah. Stephen Curry, we've seen him be hit defensively, where Klay Thompson has the best on-ball defender for the Warriors. Think about how loaded the West is with their guards. That's going to be the primary offensive attack of anybody when they play against them. Attack them defensively, maybe potentially get them in foul trouble. And I think the depth of the West is drastically different, way much deeper. They don't have the depth.
It is around them. They have good defense.
Tell me who they're better than. They better than Denver?
No.
They're better than Utah?
No.
They're better than Houston?
No.
They're better than Portland?
No.
They're better than OKC?
No.
They're better than the Lakers?
No.
They better than Clippers?
Yes.
They better than Sac?
Yes.
But it's right there. So you're fighting for the 8th spot.
Sac,
you're fighting for the 8th spot.
Calm down.
I'm just telling you.
They're a lot better than Sac. They're a lot better than Sac.
I'm saying
they're a lot better than Sac.
It takes an injury or it takes somebody getting challenged defense. I'm just telling you, it's a different scenario.
Listen.
We know they're losing Kevin Durant to the Nets, but they're not sitting on their hands. They're not throwing in the towel. First off, they agree to a 5-year, $190 million max contract to remain with the team with Klay Thompson. If anything could be considered a formality, it was that. This one, Russell's arrival restores the Warriors' backcourt, even with Klay Thompson expected to miss most of next season. That should still be pretty good. Rest of the roster looking a little thin. And outside of Sean Livingston, not much proven talent on that bench either. Will not make the playoffs next year, as constituted there in a Western Conference that admittedly is deep. That group with all the championship pedigree and still all-stars sitting on it, Bobby, will not make the playoffs.
No, not if Klay Thompson is going to be out for an extended period of time, and I'm worried about their depth. They can only add minimum players unless you are going to get...
What does their roster look like right now?
Well, Greeny, this is what the roster looks like right now, and I think when we look at it, this is probably what the team will look like in March, not in October or November, certainly with Klay Thompson with the injury. And when we'll put a young player like Jacob Evans in here, this is kind of your team that you're going to be rolling into the season with. And remember, this team is faced with the hard cap, 138.9. They cannot go out and add talent except for players on the minimum contract. And unless these type of players are going to come here on a cheap deal, certainly a player like maybe Jamal Crawford or Jared Dudley, Tyson Chandler, Joakim Noah, this is going to be your rosters. You're going to be built out with 5 players on minimum contracts. And Greeny, I'm going to make a bold prediction here. This group will not make the playoffs next year.
Exit from the playoffs. They will not host a game 1. Klay's not going to be back for quite some time, and he's going to still have to work himself back. The more I look at this, I'm looking to what Bobby just put in front of us. I think they trade D'Angelo Russell. I think they're going to be in trouble around the bubble of the playoffs at the trade deadline, and they're going to move him to get a couple pieces back that fit better.